April 26, 1777. The air hangs thick with the smell of rain and the unspoken dread of war. Under the cloak of darkness, 2,000 British troops march, their destination, Danbury, Connecticut. Their mission, to destroy the Continental Army's vital supply depot. The fate of the rebellion in this region hangs by a thread, and most of the local militia are miles away, furloughed and scattered across the countryside. The redcoats are confident. They believe their raid will be swift, unopposed, and devastating. But they haven't accounted for the fierce spirit of a 16-year-old girl. This is the story of Sybil Ludington, the unsung heroine whose midnight ride rallied an army and helped turn the tide in a crucial moment of the American Revolution. It's a tale often overshadowed by the more famous ride of Paul Revere. Yet Sybil's journey was twice as long, far more dangerous, and arguably just as pivotal. Let's rewind to that fateful evening. The scene is the Ludington household in what was then Dutchess County, New York, now Putnam County. Colonel Henry Ludington, a respected figure and the commander of the 7th Dutchess County Militia, is at home. He had just returned from a long journey, exhausted. His regiment of about 400 men were on leave, dispersed throughout the villages and farms in the surrounding area. An exhausted messenger, splattered with mud and rain, burst through the door. The news is dire. The British have landed at Campo Beach, marched inland, and are descending upon Danbury. The town is defenseless. The supplies, the food, the ammunition, everything the local patriot forces depend on is about to go up in flames. Panic sets in. Colonel Ludington needs to muster his men and fast. But who can carry the message? The messenger is too tired to continue, and every able-bodied man is needed for the fight to come. Every second is critical. The British are moving quickly, and the storm outside is growing more ferocious. The roads are turning into treacherous rivers of mud, and the night is pitch black, punctuated only by flashes of lightning. In this moment of desperation, a voice cuts through the tension. It's Sybil, Colonel Ludington's eldest daughter. She knows the area like the back of her hand. She knows the winding paths, the hidden shortcuts, and where every militiaman lives. She volunteers to make the ride. Think about that for a moment. A 16-year-old girl offering to ride alone, at night, in a thunderstorm, through 40 miles of hostile territory. This wasn't just a simple errand. The countryside was crawling with skinners, lawless bandits who preyed on travelers, and British loyalists who would not hesitate to capture or harm a patriot messenger. The journey was a life-or-death mission. Colonel Ludington must have been torn. He was a father, desperate to protect his child. But he was also a commander with a duty to his country. Seeing the determination in his daughter's eyes, he made the difficult choice. He agreed. He helped her saddle her horse, Star, a powerful bay gelding she had raised herself. With a quick, final instruction, "Ride, Sybil, ride." And a man's stick to bang on doors and defend herself, she was off, disappearing into the tempest. Her ride began around 9 p.m. From her home in Fredericksburg, now Ludingtonville, she rode south to the main town of Carmel, shouting the news at every darkened farmhouse. "The British are burning Danbury. Muster at Ludington's." Her voice, carried on the wind and rain, was a clarion call. Imagine the scene. Families jolted from their sleep, not by a distant bell, but by the urgent cries of a lone rider. Men would grab their muskets, say a hurried goodbye to their families, and head out into the storm, all because a teenage girl on a horse told them their country needed them. From Carmel, she turned east toward Mahopac, her route tracing a massive loop through the county. She rode through Kent, then south to Farmers Mills, and finally turned west towards Peekskill, before heading back north towards home. Each stop was a risk. She didn't know if the door she was knocking on belonged to a friend or a foe. At one point, a loyalist, a Tory, tried to stop her. But she spurred Star on, using her stick to fend him off and escaping back into the darkness. She was cold, drenched to the bone, and exhausted. The 40-mile journey was an incredible feat of endurance and courage. For comparison, Paul Revere's famous ride was about 20 miles on a clear night on a main road. Sybil rode twice that distance, through a violent storm, on unlit, muddy back roads. As dawn broke, a weary but triumphant Sybil rode back into her family's farmstead. She had done it. She had completed her 40-mile circuit. And behind her, the results of her heroic effort were already visible. From every direction, Men were arriving. Small groups at first, then larger companies, all converging on the Ludington home, ready to march. By the time she returned, nearly her entire father's regiment, all 400 men, had been roused. They were too late to save Danbury, which the British had already set ablaze, but they were not too late to fight back. Fueled by anger and rallied by Sybil's ride, Colonel Ludington's militia immediately marched for Danbury. They joined forces with Continental Army troops led by Generals Benedict Arnold and David Wooster. Together, they engaged the retreating British forces in the Battle of Ridgefield on April 27th. The British, laden with plunder and harassed by the newly arrived militia, were caught off guard. In the ensuing fight, the Americans put up a fierce resistance. General Wooster was mortally wounded, but the militia, including the men Sybil had summoned, fought valiantly, slowing the British retreat and inflicting significant casualties. The Redcoats were forced to fight their way back to their ships, a far cry from the easy raid they had anticipated. The strategic impact was significant. While the supplies at Danbury were lost, the British paid a heavy price. Their commanders realized that even in supposedly safe territory, the rebellion was strong, and the people were ready to rise up at a moment's notice. The Battle of Ridgefield showed that the American spirit was unbreakable. And it was all made possible because one young woman refused to stand by. Sybil Ludington's bravery was recognized. General George Washington himself visited the Ludington household to personally thank her for her heroic service. Her actions earned her the nickname, the female Paul Revere. Yet for centuries, her story remained largely a piece of local folklore, a tale passed down through generations in Putnam County but absent from most mainstream history books. Why? Perhaps because she was a woman, and history has a long and unfortunate habit of overlooking the contributions of women. Or perhaps because the chaos of war meant many acts of individual heroism went undocumented, but her legacy endures. A statue of Sybil on her horse, Star, stands today near Camel, New York, a permanent tribute to her courage. Markers along the route she traveled commemorate her incredible journey. Sybil's story is more than just a footnote in history. It's a powerful reminder that heroes come in all forms, ages, and genders. It shows that one person's courage can change the course of events. She wasn't a general or a politician. She was a teenager who saw a need and didn't hesitate to act, despite the immense danger. She embodies the spirit of resilience, determination, and patriotism that defined the American Revolution. So the next time you hear the story of a midnight ride, remember there wasn't just one. Remember Sybil Ludington, the young girl who rode through the storm to save her country. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as inspiring as we do, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel for more hidden histories, and share this video to help keep the legacy of heroes like Sybil Ludington alive. See you next time.